Check, 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 check. Blue 42, blue 42. Red 80, red 80. Audible, audible, said hut.
Welcome back to the house that Alan built. I'm Scott Kinmartin, and with me, as always,
Greg Vollmer.
And today we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to recap that game.
Bills Mafia, I hope you're feeling good. I know you're feeling good right now. Western New York, the sun's shining, metaphorically or literally. We got a big dub. And if you don't think it was big, well, I don't think you understand. That game had a lot riding on it. 2 MVP front runners.
The Bills can't win close games.
Bills can't win close games. Tough coach team by Harbaugh.
John Harbor saw.
Husha Mazudi. Who's your daddy?
Husha Daddy.
That was a huge win.
It was a huge win.
Huge.
All right, well, let's do a shot.
We're doing
on behalf of Josh Allen's hometown of Fireball, we're going to do a shot of Fireball.
Josh Allen still hanging high in that MVP race like a stud that he is.
Yeah, I think he outshined Lamar, but slightly only in the second half.
Slightly did, but that's all that matters. Got that dub.
All right.
Woo, let's go Bills. That was a victory shot. We're smoking that Ravens pack until this upcoming Sunday. I'm enjoying every bit of this win.
Yeah, the Bills won 23-20. My prediction was 24-20, so I should have been betting on that. Your prediction
I was
originally
27-21. I was originally going to pick the Ravens, and I switched.
You did. Good thing you did. And that had me nervous for quite a bit of that game. I was first half, we start with the ball. We actually won the toss, which is rare. We elected to receive.
No, Allen's good at winning. He's usually good at winning coin tosses.
But we normally defer to the second half.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And I think that was because of the weather. Because rain was coming in and the wind, so they wanted to get the ball early and try to march on the field without the weather.
Get that momentum started early.
I feel like that mattered a lot. But that momentum was stopped with a tip ball from Calais Campbell and an interception from Marlon Humphrey. And then we got the ball again, didn't do much. And then Singletary, 11 carries, what did he have? 49 yards, but a fumble. That costly fumble.
It was very costly. And look, every week, whether it's the Bills playing or any of the other matchups on any given Sunday or Monday or Thursday, moments like that can literally cost you a game. And now, luckily, we did make the comeback and we were resilient. You know, it reminded me a lot of the Buccaneers game last year. When we were getting our asses kicked and it looked like I was defeated as a fan, and I'm like,
but
we look lost. And then they came out in the second half and almost came back in epic fashion to win. And it kind of reminded me of that one, except this time we got the win.
Well, what reminded me that we were still in it after that first half, because I was at a pumpkin patch watching it from my phone, which is rare, but I had to do it. It was either miss the Miami game or miss this game.
You had to get your quality family time in.
I had to get the family time in.
Can't fault you for that, brother.
No, we got some nice pumpkins. We took some photos, had a good time. You know, Saber was running around, my little boy.
It's a beautiful time in Oregon right now. The weather's been just crazy good. It's been in the like 70s, 80s, sun shining.
I was sweating bullets wearing a flannel.
Man, we have been blessed with weather this last couple months. It's been a beautiful September and beginning to October. So.
Oh, for sure. But the reason why at halftime when we're down 20-10, I mean, it was 20-3 at one point. I'm like, damn, we're down by 17. We're gonna have to really do a comeback. I'm like, if we can shut them out in the second half like we did against the Rams when it was 10-10, and then we won that one 31-10.
Yeah.
So we did it. So we came back and we scored our touchdowns. We scored our points. We needed 3 scores really in the second half.
You know, Alan mentioned that touchdown before half was when they were like, okay, this doesn't look too bad.
No.
Like we've played like crap.
Yep.
Things
no
don't
more
seem
turnovers.
to be going our way. The weather's a little weird.
Yep.
And then they get that touchdown before halftime with some good clock management, and then that spurred on a beautiful second half.
That is important that you said that, because clock management was not their friend last week against Miami.
We were nitpicking about McDermott because he's such a good coach. He's a great coach for Buffalo.
They're very well prepared. But
so there are some things that as fans we've nitpicked here and there. And if anything, maybe it's been some moments of clock management.
Sure.
That I think was his bugaboo.
13 seconds. And last week with the whole failed spike and then running out of time when McKenzie didn't get out.
Yeah.
Speaking of McKenzie, we did have a couple injuries in this game.
Look,
he
the
went out with a
injury bug
concussion.
continues to hit us in full force. I swear to God now. It's like we go, those first 2 weeks, like I said, were like fairy tale. We were like, after all the momentum and the hype leading into the season, we're freaking front runners for Super Bowl predictions. and things were going beautifully for 2 weeks, swimmingly, if
Sure.
you will.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden we get hit by the injury monster.
Yes, but luckily,
look, we're slowly getting healthier.
our offensive line was all
Some
intact for
players
the
back,
first time,
but
and they played every snap.
Again, we didn't get out of it unscathed. Like you said, we got a concussion for Little Dirty.
Which I think the reason why he sat out, because it looked bad. I mean, he kind of
He
stiffened
got
up.
smacked.
It wasn't like
it
Tua.
should have been. I felt like it
Wasn't
should have been targeting.
Yeah, I mean, it was bang bang, but they were coming opposite direction and whacked him. I mean, he's a little guy. He's very fast,
Yeah,
but
it was
he
a
got
scary hit.
He got hit a little dirty.
Yeah, face of the franchise.
Yeah, so he's out.
and
He
then
may be out this week, and then
Jamison Crowder broke his damn ankle. So
Yeah, once he was in the air cast and on his crutches. Normally, if you're in an air cast and you're not on crutches, it might be a little sprain or something. They can ice it. But he's going to be out minimum 4 weeks. It could be longer. They said indefinitely. Who knows what that means? But my concern there, McKenzie and Crowder were our kick and punt returners.
Yes.
So
He was gonna-
it doesn't become Khalil
he was gonna
Shakir.
step
Does it
up.
become James Cook? Because they did try them in the preseason.
James, you mentioned James Cook, and I think that would be a sneaky little prediction there for who they might.
Let him redeem himself. He's getting 2 snaps on offense. You might as well let him do that.
There's a lot of chatter from some Bills fans and
Just don't
media of what we haven't. Why did we draft this running back, this talented running back, out of Georgia in the second round, and we haven't really got. It's like we haven't got to see much of him. And him fumbling on his first carry of his career, it didn't help. And now they haven't lost faith in him, but yeah, fans are kind of wondering, like, it's kind of like that fancy car in the garage. When's it going to get let loose? Will it get let loose? Our
Didn't do
running
much.
game is continuing to fail to launch.
Yeah.
Except for Allen, though. Allen continues to just
11
do what
carries.
he does. He almost outrushed Lamar, and he had a rushing touchdown, not Lamar, in this game. And I think a lot of people, if you would have asked them that were neutral, would have been like, I'd say Lamar's going to have the better rushing game.
Well,
and,
if it wasn't for Matt Milano's tackling, I think he's the only one who could contain Lamar because it would get the third down. They needed 7, 13, whatever. And I got nervous. I'm like, contain Lamar. And then the only one to do it was Milano, who had 13 tackles.
You know my new nickname for Matt Milano?
Money Milano?
The Italian Stallion.
Ooh, he's definitely the epitome of Italian.
Stallion,
He's
man.
yoked, dude. He's
a
that tan.
badass.
He is.
And he took a hometown discount.
Oh, my gosh.
That dude could have gotten paid maybe 15, 20 million more on a contract. And
Seriously.
Dude's a absolute baller, and he decided because he liked the culture and he liked
the
he liked
Allen
the city,
discount, like Brady used to give a discount.
and he was like, I would rather stick with family that I've made on this team and get a little extra, or excuse me, a little less extra money.
Yeah.
To have the comfort level in this system and to try to be a part of something special. And
Look at guys that have
that's
re-signed,
commendable.
like Knox. Knox feels like home. He loses his brother. Allen loses his grandma. Look at what they're doing. They're donating. They're naming hospitals after him. Like, it's just unreal. And now
Tua,
after the Tua injury,
now
some
people
Bills
have been
Mafia.
a lot of Bills Mafia members, and shout out to each and every one of you that continues to just show the awesome side of many sides to this fan base. A lot of fans have been donating in $17.01 increments for Allen's number and Tua's number.
Yep.
Obviously, there are rivals. There's always going to be that passion as fans, but at the end of the day, it's human beings before your rivals and.
It's a sport. It's a sport, and he's a human being, so it's fun. A lot of people might forget. It's like Peyton Manning said on the Manning cast. They lose, but he's like, he threw 4 touchdowns and gave them 35 points. He's like, hey, good job. And Manning's like, we lost.
Yeah, and
so real life is more important.
As an analyst, like as me being an analyst and trying not to be biased, I consider Tua, before all this happened with the concussions, I consider him to be a good quarterback. Not a great one, like I said. But he's a great human. And so awesome that people are starting to donate to his foundation because he's going through a lot right now. And then
he may never play.
The doctor's name. So he was the doctor that ended up
neuropathologist.
He was the neuropathologist he's got enough degrees that could fill a whole page.
Yeah, the concussion movie in 2015 was based on
intelligent man.
Yeah. So
based concussion movie that Will Smith played that he probably should have won an Oscar for, based on this gentleman. He was the one that ended up discovering CTE, posted into a scientific journal, And
protocols were changed because of
I
that
had
movie.
never seen the movie, and I'm going to be completely honest with you.
I watched it.
I didn't watch it, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to stay naive. Because I've followed the brand.
It's a real thing.
I've followed the brand of NFL and the Bills for 26 years, and it's literally like so many people out there. It's my religion on Sundays.
Yeah.
Like it's my stress relief. It's my thing that I can follow and hold on to, and it's a family now. But I didn't want to see it because I knew it would be disturbing. And then after the whole events with Tua, I decided to watch it this weekend, and it was tough. It was tough to watch.
I played contact football my whole life, really. From Pop Warner through college. And
Wait, where'd you go? UCF?
yeah, Gabe Davis.
Shout out UCF.
So I got a neck injury where I collided as the linebacker with a fullback, about a 240-pound fullback. And it was actually in practice. It was friendly fire. Paul Crane was his name. Big old dude. And I fell straight down, and I thought for sure I'm toast. Like I broke my arm because I couldn't feel it. So the nerve endings went on a stinger, went straight through, right? So I had pinched nerves, and I had to rehab.
Your whole arm felt like static.
I was literally grabbing a drink and going like this, and I'm like, you know what? My dad had recently died. I'm like, football's not worth it for this. Like I was playing out of pride and because I wanted to make him happy. And when he died, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, you have to remember, you still have a family. You still have things outside of sports. And you could blow out your ACL like Javonte Williams or something, right? You can come back from that, especially with modern technology and medicine.
Yeah. The head injuries are a whole different ballgame.
CTE and neck injuries, those are pretty much long-term or permanent for the most part. And it's scary to see stuff like that happen. And
yeah.
For Tua, I mean, he may be back in a week or two.
The doctor we alluded to that was played by Will Smith that discovered all this. He recommended to Tua via social media that he should not play another snap of football.
Whether he does or not, that's scary. And I wish him the best.
The NFL Players Association investigation's ongoing, and they are going to have a one-on-one with Tua within days, and so we're still going to have to wait for information to come out. But yeah,
they are changing the protocols as of week 5. So 12 players around the league, after getting hit in the head, sat out for the rest of the game. They were pulled. So they're taking precautionary measures. Like we mentioned about the concussion movie, that changed protocols in the NFL. But Isaiah McKenzie may or may not be back this week. He did have a meet and greet yesterday, and he showed up for that. So that's a good sign that he's already on like stage 2 or 3 of 4 or 5.
Yeah. It reminds me like that, as a fan, you get so into everything, but yeah, I think it's a sobering reminder to any fan of the NFL and their team and players that at the end of the day, yeah, these are humans and they're getting paid a lot of money, but they're putting their bodies on the line every single week, and they have families, they have loved ones, they've got parents and brothers and sisters and cousins, and so even though they're getting paid handsomely, it doesn't mean that they're anything less than any other human. And they're going to war every single day, every single week for each other for a 17
practice too,
17 weeks. And I'm always going to love football. And seeing that movie, it was disturbing because it makes you just realize how much is on the line in any given week. But man, it's just football is the true team sport. And
putting it all out there, Gabe Davis was not 100% again. I mean, I've watched every game of his at UCF, my alma mater, and he's not right. So, how they say, look good, feel good, play good? Well, if you don't feel right, you're not going to play right. He had a couple drops, and he's sure-handed. I mean, he does not miss a ball like that. And he had a couple nice grabs, but also a couple drops that were crucial.
I think in hindsight's 2020, I'm playing armchair, coach.
He should take a week off.
I just felt, what? I think we could have afforded to not, even though it was a huge game against the Ravens, and I know McDermott understood that, but I think I think it was a little detrimental to have him out. I think having him just rest a week, because I have a lot of faith in Khalil Shakir. And I think he is like a better Cole Beasley when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I get it though. It's like, yeah, Davis could be a decoy, but I feel like he should have sat one more week
Let's
out.
clarify. A better Cole Beasley at this point, at age 32, 33. In his prime, Beasley is money. And I think we missed those third down conversions from him last year, which is why Allen's having to run the ball more. But I think if Krumero is still out this week, with Crowder and McKenzie likely out, well, Crowder's definitely out, I say they bring up Isaiah Hodgins, and we see what he has, too. He's been on the practice squad for 2 years. We've been hiding him there. He's been injured on and off. He's flash preseason hero, right?
He's got length.
I think we try the young guys out. We try Cook back there for punt and kick return. We try Isaiah Hodgins out there, moving where we need to. I think he's got a good frame.
I would love to see Hodgins in that we don't even though we've got Pro Bowl talent in Diggs and Davis. I would love to see someone just a little bit taller that can kind of high point it out of the air, and where Allen can just kind of put it where he needs, where only he can get it, and he high points it. I would love to see that. It just goes to show our depth. We have so much depth.
If you looked at the Monday night game, Stafford was looking at Kupp like 13 times, 122 yards, no touchdowns.
That's all he had.
He forced a couple plays, and those turned into pick sixes that cost the game. It was 24-9, but it could have gone the other way. It was a 14-point swing.
That is what happens when you're one-dimensional in this league.
With Diggs,
their defenses are too good. You have to have more than one weapon now.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, and with Davis out there, yes, he's a decoy when he's not catching it. He did have a couple drops where we could have gone to someone else, but he was open. I say rest him for a week. We're going to have our bye week coming up in week 7. I just think having them out there is nice. Our O-line is finally healthy enough to play together.
Every single snap.
Together.
That is huge. Every single snap of the game.
Our run blocking might be off, or maybe our running backs are still shit, but I feel like we've got to do something other than rely on Allen. But when we need it, we now know that the 2019-2020 Allen, who can run when there's nothing out there, we can rely on. But we don't want to do that every single week. 11 rushes for
70 yards compared to Lamar's 11 for 73, but Allen had the touchdown.
Rushing. Now when you compare the two of them, Lamar was 20 of 29 for 144 and a touchdown, where Allen was 19 of 36 for 213, a touchdown, and that one interception. Yeah. Both QBRs were under.
Allen had 68.4 QBR. Lamar slightly
63.
Lower at 63. Allen, they were both MVP frontrunners going into this game, and Allen slightly got the edge.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're both superior. And to be in the same draft class is pretty cool.
And the only two, really, from that first round are the 5 quarterbacks. Because Darnold's a backup. Baker might as well be a backup.
Bust.
Rosen's
Bust.
Practice
Bust
squad,
plus.
3rd or 4th. Yes. I mean, that is great to see.
I'm
a fan of Lamar. I feel like
Me too,
he's
man.
improved on his passing game, but he's dynamic in that run game where, like I said, I would cringe when I saw 3rd and 13. I'm like, no. Because what Harbaugh does is he spreads the running backs in the slot out. And then that leaves the middle linebackers have to cover them. Whether zone or man-to-man. Yeah. That leaves the middle of the field. So you're relying on that front line where Daquan Jones definitely helps with that run stuffing. But holy cow, you can't contain Lamar like that.
Yeah.
Good thing
you do have to hold your breath anytime he starts to take off.
And we've had his number for 3 games now, but it's been rough.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it didn't look like we were going to have his number, and then Leslie Frazier and McDermott came out with a hell of an adjustment after halftime.
7 points allowed after the half in 4 games so far this year, leads the league by far.
Yep.
Last year that was the opposite. We were 1-5 in close matchups, and we couldn't do it in the second half. Our third quarter sucked, so we'd have to rush through and rely on Allen's fourth quarter prowess to come through, because to come from behind for Allen was no problem. He could do that.
Yeah.
But you don't want to rely on that.
Yeah, I think the running situation, everyone's talking about it. All the social media is talking about it. Media talking heads are talking about it. Everyone's wondering what's going on with the Bills' running game, but we keep on winning, right?
Well, yes, but Brian Daboll last year, it was all about the passing game. Yeah. So we know we've got the receivers. With the running backs, for the 3 out of the last 4 years, or 3 years in a row, we've drafted a second-round wide receiver, or running back, excuse me. We relied on Singletary, and then Moss, and now Cook. It's like, okay, when you're going to invest that and you miss out on defensive ends or anything else, you've got to use it. So what they're doing now is you see the spread offense where they're using the running backs, but they're splitting them out, or they're doing the pitch. So those quick little screen passes, those are their way of stretching the field.
And how many times as fans are we watching, and whether it's the Bills playing or any of your other favorite teams, where you have those runs up the middle, and so many offensive coordinators do it where they just get stuffed, but they try it like 2 times in a row.
Or they fumble.
Or they fumble.
That's driving me nuts about Dorsey.
It kills a drive, but like how much patience can you have to try to get that going? Or is it just not going to happen, and you just have to do what we're better at, and that's passing? It's like the impossible equation to try to solve right now.
During the drought and our mediocre years as Bills fans, it was run, pass, punt. Run, pass, punt. And when I started seeing pass incomplete, run on 2nd and 10, and you either get -1 yards or +4, then you've got 3rd and 6, right? And then they tighten up, and then it's hard. If you drop the ball, you're out. If Allen doesn't, somehow he got a first down on one where he was rolling around the outside.
Miraculous.
And I love how he will be past the line of scrimmage, and he acts like he's gonna throw the ball because of his running ability. They're afraid because they know he could still pass it, and he does those little sidearm Mahomes throws, right? And he's already passed the line, but they're not paying attention to that. Their tunnel vision is on the quarterback, trying to contain him, and then he fixes, boom, first down.
Yeah.
His touchdown was unreal, where he wills himself into victory for the Bills, and I love that about him. There's so much to love about him. Obviously, we have a man crush on Josh Allen.
Oh, he's a stud. Come on.
He is.
I don't care if you're not a Bills fan. There's so many non-Bills fans that can't.
Yes.
They can't help but admit, like, we got ourselves a real quarterback.
I loved going to the Chicago game, and my friend Nathan, our friend, thinking that I'm going to get shit on or murdered over wearing an Allen jersey when nobody said anything negative. You're like, he's a dog.
Well, he's a good dude too. Yeah, I don't know. And we're all biased as Bills fans, but he's a good dude, and it's hard to not cheer for a guy that's kind of got his history and everything he's gone through, and the whole like story arc is pretty awesome so far. And
same with Lamar. I mean,
going.
they're both MVP candidates still, regardless of who won. They both led their offenses to 22 first downs. Allen had 14 passing first downs, where the Ravens had 13 rushing. 7 of those were probably Lamar himself. 62 plays to 64 plays. The biggest discrepancy in this game was time of possession. The Bills had the ball for less than 22 minutes. They had the ball for 38. And
I asked you a question before
different.
this podcast, and I asked, is it crazy? Is it a crazy question to ask if that was one of McDermott's more impressive wins?
Yeah, you said, was it a top 5? And I'm thinking, okay, he's been there 5 years now, right? 2017. I guess maybe this is a 6th season.
And yeah, he's had some awesome wins. I mean, we've beat the brakes off of so many teams with the trend of how when we win big. But I feel like from a clock management standpoint, that had to have been one of his better performances as a head coach.
And it was needed, because if we had started the season 2-2, going into the Steelers now, we are 14-point favorites against now Kenny Pickett. Trubisky already. I was right. I said by week 7 he was going to be out.
You called it. If we lose that game to the Steelers, that's a huge letdown. We are
without T.J. Watt too.
We are the more talented team going up against a rookie quarterback making his first start. History should not be on the Steelers' side. And
this is where you sit Davis, and this is where you light up the defense with these rookies and just give them a shot. Give Cook. What I don't like that they do with James Cook is, or whoever fumbles, other teams like Tomlin's team, they fumble the ball, they get a redemption shot. To me, that's important. You crush the soul of a veteran or a rookie when they have a mistake. It happens in the NFL. Ball bounce is weird, right? And you don't give them that opportunity. Like a kickoff, right? They fumble it, get him back out there, see if he does it again, then you sit. But give him that redemption. I think right now we need to try our rookies more than ever, including Hodgins.
Yeah, I can see both sides to that argument. I can see the benefit of not getting their morale down and giving them another shot. But I can also see the benefit of giving them some time to think about it. Just because turnovers kill the easiest way to lose in the NFL week to week is turning the ball over more than your opponent. Now, but you're right. Then there's different types of fumbles. Sometimes they get hit so hard and they could be holding it secure and it pops out. Other times it's just they're not paying attention to the ball security. And I know that gets preached. That gets burned into their brain.
Well, it's like when they run without the ball, they take the next step. It's no different than thinking about one thing like your move rather than protecting the ball first.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Tomlin had that philosophy of giving him pretty much a
Ray McLeod.
second chance.
He was notorious for fumbling on punt returns or kick returns, but he was very dynamic. Like he could return the ball 80 yards, and he's done that. He let him redeem himself, and he did. He kept him there for a couple of years after we got rid of him.
I'm just thankful that we finally have a quarterback that when stuff like that does happen and we have a horrible fumble, we have a quarterback that can still make up for it.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the offense, let's talk about the defense. I felt like that was a very good defensive performance. Frazier and McDermott, like I said, have had Lamar contained in the last few games, and they kind of gave a blueprint to the rest of the NFL. Just like Miami may have about how to contain the Bills a little bit. That's why Allen had to revert back to rushing more and relying on his legs more. And the defensive line, great. The linebackers, amazing.
Milano dog. Poyer, dog. Kyer Elam, Dog. Did I already say Jordan Poyer? Double dog.
Dog.
We got dogs. Gregory Rousseau. Dog. Von Miller. Dog. Come on now. I can go on.
Greg Rousseau has had a sack.
Dane Jackson. Dog.
Rousseau has had at least a half a sack or sack in each of the last 4 games to match what he had in 17 games last year. So Von Miller effect is in full effect.
So, and NFL draft experts were overwhelmingly super high on that pick with Rousseau. And everyone knew he had the talent. He had sit out because of the COVID thing. So we saw kind of one main year, and he just blew things out of the water. And it's just awesome that we had already seen kind of the beginning of what could be an amazing career before Von Miller got here. But then you can tell, like you said, the Von Miller effect is a real thing. Yep. He had an effect in that defensive locker room in LA, and now he's brought that to Buffalo, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
For sure, yeah. He's a specimen. I mean, with 3 minutes and 35 seconds left in the game, the Ravens had a probability of winning 63.1%, right? But then Rousseau was able to contain Lamar on a 4th down play, which there was a wide open receiver. I think it was Duvernay. He's over there in the corner jumping up and down, and Poyer was on someone else, but he saw that he was wide open. By the time Lamar was able to slide over to his right and throw the ball, Poyer came over and picked it up.
Any of you aspiring young football players out there that are really wanting to learn how to play cornerback or safety the right way, that's what you call instincts, what he just displayed there. And that's stuff that can't always be coached.
I feel like we would have lost that game without Poyer. He had 2 interceptions, and now he has 4 in 3 games.
Astoria, Oregon's own Jordan Poyer. And that dude, I know that Bean was trying to pretty much do the impossible with trying to balance out all these guys that we've had to pay.
Yeah.
But it is like, just from a fan of Poyer's and as a Bills fan and knowing just what kind of guy he is, it's kind of makes me sick to my stomach how much he's getting paid.
I mean, he got the interception bonus
he
already
got
after
$250,000. That's
3
pennies.
games.
That's pennies to a millionaire. But I'm glad that at least we gave him some kind of incentive. But he is. I just wish. I know he's up there in age now, and we had to pay other people. But I don't know. Kudos to him. It shows what kind of person he is, first and foremost. That he didn't hold out. He didn't make a fuss. They tried to get a deal done, but he still showed up to training camp and came to work his ass off with his fellow teammates. And he's doing well, I know he knew he was going to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
We talk about a guy like Lamar Jackson betting on himself. Well, Jordan Poyer is also betting on himself, and so far he's winning
been
that
very
bet.
good about that, for sure. And I mean, for us to get Micah Hyde from the Packers and Jordan Poyer from the Browns and have them as a tandem safety, like, they're the best in the league together. Without Micah, we needed someone else. Now, Damar Hamlin had a very good game, and Jaquan Johnson is very good for depth. He could even be a starter or maybe replace one of them someday. But our defensive secondary, A+. That was so good.
And that's film study too. Like Jordan Poyer, him and Milano have just natural instincts that can't always just be taught that's above X's and O's sometimes. But like, that's film study too. Seeing the cues and in a major situation like that, for Poyer to have that awareness, and to see out of the corner of his eye he's pretty much had to see.
He had to make up like 10
anticipate,
yards.
What was happening before it actually happened, and that's all pro type of shit right there.
Peter Schrager's top 5 rookies of the week. Kaiir Elam made that list for good reason.
And what did I say? We haven't been talking about him, but it's because he's been doing his job. Usually, when the young rookies
they get exposed, but he allowed 0 yards, 0 receptions in 43 plays. I mean, it gives me chills because we're about to get Trey White back if he's healthy.
About to.
He comes back to practice this week. We won't know.
Maybe.
By the time we film this and you can see this, who knows what he's going to be doing at practice. But it's nice to see him, possibly come back.
McDermott has he just gave another generic response saying his rehab is going according to plan. He'll be ready when he's ready.
Yep.
So he's being very tight-lipped about it still.
So our special teams, Sam Martin had 3 punts. So we did the over-under again. I don't remember if we did, but he had 3 punts for an average of 45.3.
We did. I think we did over 3. So we were almost. I mean,
it was at 3, so it's a push, right? And Tyler Bass had the game-winning field goal. So we didn't need him much.
It was a chip,
but he made it different. Actually, we did need him because we got we had 3 field goals and a touchdown.
And that's faith in our kicker, because you literally put the whole game on his leg. knowing that we milked that clock down to keep Lamar off that field.
2 touchdowns.
And yeah, and it was a chip in for NFL kicker standards.
Yeah.
But still, he had to send it in. It could get blocked. It could, so it was everyone executed to make that comeback.
So we're gonna do some unsung heroes here. Our defensive tackle Prince Emili, who was called up from the practice squad, he actually deflected the pass that Jordan Poyer caught when he jumped up and got the interception.
Poyer's first interception.
Was it his
game.
first one? Yeah, the first one. So that to me was like, holy cow, okay, that's big, because you can get turnovers against the Ravens. You prevent them from having the ball longer, or Lamar being as elusive as he is, being a threat. He's our unsung hero on defense, and on offense, I'd say Khalil Shakir. He had a nice grab for a first down conversion, and we're going to need him again moving forward.
And Allen. I mean, look, Allen had to do...
He's not unsung. He's always our hero.
Yeah, you're right.
He's our hero in our sleep when we're awake every week.
Well, no, and that's what's awesome about it, though. We have a quarterback that does amazing things that we used to just be like, wow, like I would love to see that just once every month. And we're getting to see it every single week when he's on the field.
Now, one thing I want to say about our unsung hero, Prince Emili, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was due to injury or just because we needed other priorities on our practice squad.
Ed Oliver's coming back too, hopefully.
Okay, that could be the reason. But at the same time, we got rid of Prince Emili, we released him, and we brought back Justin Zimmer, the guy who had the fumble on Cam Newton, which gave us that victory against him. Holy cow, that could have been bad last year.
Yep.
Was it last year? Holy
Yeah,
cow.
yeah.
Cam Newton feels like it was 4 years ago. But
It does.
really, the Bills... Xavier Rhodes. So... we signed him for depth. He pulls a hammy, so soft tissue, which means he wasn't ready. You're sitting at home.
He was out of shape.
You get called. Most likely, I don't want to discredit. He's a pro.
Yeah.
But it happens. So he's out at least 4 weeks. So good thing he's buried on the practice squad.
The injuries, thank God we got Poyer back and a few Dane Jackson, because it's like
Dane Jackson had a good game.
Yeah.
Every snap, all 70 snaps.
Yeah. It's just good to get a few guys back, because we keep on dropping a few, but as long as we're getting some guys back, it's just been one of those months with injuries. It's just So hopefully we get to the bye week and we get healthy, and all this injury stuff is out of our system for the second half run.
Yeah. So the Bills won 23-20. We squeaked it by. It was it came down to the last minute, really. And
how about, and let's give a shout out to Tremaine Edmonds. Dude's gotten probably some unnecessary flack from some Bills fans. I even have criticized him time to time where
since
I just
he's been
felt
drafted,
like
they're like,
his play wasn't up to par. But so far he's been playing like an absolute animal. Along
last
with
year he had
Milano.
some tackling issues, angles. I mean, he's a big guy, big shoulders.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him really miss too many.
He's the QB of that defense.
Yep.
He's calling the plays. He's the Mike.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, there's a reason why Milano and Edmonds have both been there.
Yeah, and
together.
Milano and Poyer, like I said, they're just absolute calorie cap steals right now.
Yeah.
Absolute steals for what they're doing on the field.
Since we covered the Bills, that was a good game for them. While we're clapping...
Hey, Bills Mafia, don't forget, pound some Labats, break some tables responsibly, and take some hydration breaks for this upcoming game. Cheers. God, I love victory weeks, man.
We got to talk about Brian Dable, because he won again.
Well, let's clap for McDermott and the Bills. That was a hell of a comeback victory. That's the kind of shit that you get momentum with. Boom.
All right, so are the Giants for real?
No.
Soft schedule?
They're not for real, but Dable is... I just about said it.
You were about to say...
Dabble.
He's been saying names wrong since I've met him, but...
Dable is a hell of a coach. I just don't think that Daniel Jones is going to...
Although they're drafting for sure. They're drafting a quarterback.
So, I mean, look, they're not a great team. They're a good team. They'll be kind of meddling and trying to stay above 500.
Why they're even above 500? Saquon Barkley.
He's doing great.
He's resurrected his career.
It's awesome.
He looks really good.
It's
really,
awesome.
really good.
But I don't think they're the real deal. I mean, like, when you're talking about real deal in the NFL right now, that's Chiefs, that's Bills, that's Chargers, if you will. That's maybe on the NFC side, Eagles.
For sure.
Packers, potentially. Those are real deal.
Yeah.
The Giants are not the real deal. They're just a average NFL team right now. With Dable and bringing in that GM from the Bills, or assistant GM.
Joe Schoen.
Yeah, Joe Schoen. They've started the process. It's going to take a while, just like it took the Bills a while to get things going. but they'll be there.
True.
It's just but
But that's a respectable start. 3-1.
Yeah. It's awesome to see Barkley from both just a human standpoint, knowing what he's battled through this last year, and then even from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah.
Because I know you have him on one of your teams. He's solid.
So there are currently no 0-4 teams, and there's only one 4-0 team, and that's the Eagles. They look legit. They were a preseason Super Bowl favorite along with the Bills, and that might be the matchup for the Super Bowl. Who knows? But Jalen Hurts looks good.
Yeah. There was so much hype on the Bills that a lot of the hype that was starting to get pumped out on the Eagles was kind of overshadowed. But there was plenty of people that before the season started, they said, watch out for the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe it was a little overblown.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant because even Eagles fans were like, oh, man, we're stuck with Jalen. But he's putting it together, and he looks good.
Great.
He's poised. He looks good. Now, I said there's no 0-4 teams, but the Houston Texans are 0-3-1. They do have a tie there. So they're right now the worst team in the league.
Dameon Pierce, the rookie, is starting to
he
shine
went
now.
off. He went off.
It's taken a kind of
and
a
Mills
quarter
is
of
still young.
Yeah. I was impressed with Dameon Pierce because when I watched his college film, I was like, I want to draft this guy. Like, and I know, it's a rookie. It's always kind of hit or miss with rookies. It takes some time, but man, he's finally started to get an opportunity, and he's running like he did in college.
I don't know if you got up early enough to watch the London game.
I listened to some of it.
The Saints and Vikings. It was weird because on the West Coast, where it used to be 1:00 games on the East Coast, it's 10 a.m. here. So when you wake up and at 6:30, there's a game on.
6:30 start time.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I watched it. I watched it all the way through, and it was close. It was good. Finally, Justin Jefferson is fantasy relevant again.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was following his stats while I was in bed, and I was listening to the radio off and on.
Yeah, you're texting me saying, "Oh, he's a bust. He's not gonna make it."
I was wanting to trade him so bad. And then this. I know. I get emotional.
A couple weeks knee-jerk reaction.
I am famous for knee-jerk reactions, but he had a good second half, and he finally got back into the fantasy stud.
Yeah, Jameis Winston was out. Taysom Hill went in there for a couple snaps and looked good when he was in there as like that slasher, tight end, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, whatever the hell you want to call him. I wanted to talk about Mitch Trubisky real quick. Mm-hmm. We are facing the Steelers this upcoming week. We're going to get into our predictions for the next podcast, but week 5 he already lost his job, and now Kenny Pickett from Pitt, the fans are raving about him. He's getting thrown at the Wolves. He's going to start his first NFL game against the number 1 defense in the league, the Buffalo Bills. So, sorry about it, Trubisky. They
pretty much gave him about a month to either blow them out of the water, where they're like, okay, this is awesome. You're overachieving.
Yeah. He had 3 touchdowns and a pick or 2, and just wasn't throwing for more than 160 yards.
He didn't clearly do enough to hold off the draft capital that they invested in Kenny Pickett, and so eventually this was going to happen if he didn't just do some crazy good things. I feel like he's still a quality quarterback in this league, but there's always going to be that pressure on the franchises. And Steelers have bigger problems than just quarterback, though. Their offensive line is spotty. They're missing some guys on defense. They can't get the run game going.
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been struggling, and I think it's not just a him problem. I think the offensive line has been struggling. So they have their fair share of issues, but like we said, it's a win for me now league, and there's just pressure on everyone to just win right away. And so Kenny Pickett's about to get his debut.
And I mean, Tomlin, he's kept them above 500 every year since he's been there, and I feel like Trubisky is threatening that record. We'll see.
I mean, for Mike Tomlin's an amazing coach. I hope he should go down as a Hall of Fame coach when it's all said and done. If he somehow managed to find a way to keep them in this game and beat us, then I will have even more respect for him. I don't see it happening.
14-point
even
favorites.
As good as a coach, even as an amazing coach like him, I even think he probably knows going into this as a realist. Like, I mean, he's going to give it his all. He's going to try to coach and come up with anything he can muster, but I think he's probably knowing that you're kind of walking into a bit of a lion's den this week.
Yeah. We talked about the Bills. We talked about other games. The last game I want to talk about before we get into fantasy talk, if you want to mention anything about your what you got right and what you got wrong. The Monday night game, 49ers, Jimmy G, redemption game. Actually, he's had the Rams number for years now. For the last 5 games, Rams
he's 7-0 against them.
If
I remember the stat from last night.
He's just a winner. He's very, Joe Cool, nonchalant, decent. But that's all you need when you've got a stacked defense. And they picked off Stafford a pick 6. He was sacked 7 times. I mean, that didn't look like the same McVay team.
No.
They're just not running
They're
on
struggling.
all cylinders. So, and last but not least, we're going to talk about fantasy football. So we're going to leave this up to you, Greg.
Wrapping up the episode with my fantasy corner of where I was right and where I was wrong. Where I'll start with where I was wrong. For my advice last week, I apologize about my streaming defenses. Turns out they weren't good picks. I was dead wrong about my advice to start the Lions defense against the Seahawks. They gave up 48 points. And then the Chiefs, I recommend the Chiefs against the Bucks. The Chiefs only got 4 points. So yeah, it was a rough week for me predicting defenses.
It's always rough.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at matchups and go, oh, well, they line up with this, and then, it's the NFL any given Sunday.
Now that was just me kind of looking at some matchups and thinking of kind of outside the box. It didn't work. The defense I actually started on my actual fantasy teams were the Eagles, and they're
solid.
Yeah, I started the Bengals in one league because I thought maybe the Eagles were going to give up a ton of points to the Jaguars, but the Eagles have been matchup proof.
Yeah.
They put up I think 17 points again.
Only undefeated team.
Only undefeated team. So that's where I was wrong, and then where I was right was also kind of where I was wrong. It was a rough week for my suggestions, but where I was right was Tyler Algier. He now steps in as a potential RB1 because Cordero Patterson.
You said it right. Okay, good.
Cordero Patterson is on IR right now with a knee issue, knee injury.
Out at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, and Tyler Algier took every opportunity with the chances he was given on Sunday. He carried the ball 10 times for, I believe, 83 yards. It was just over 80 yards. So
they have another running back, too.
They do have another running back. So it could be a running back by committee, but clearly,
I think he's number one.
Tyler, I think, has the most potential. And he, with his opportunities, he did, did just fine. So I would definitely, if he's still available on the old waiver wires, pick him up. Tyler Algier, if you need some of that running back depth, which at this point in the season, you're trying to get some lottery picks still, because the waiver wire is starting to kind of get thin.
Pretty much, but yeah,
so,
and really,
especially in 12-person leagues.
The only way it's going to be more active is when you've got new quarterbacks coming in, or someone like Zach Wilson, who's going to be going to maybe a different tendency or target, but that or injuries, like you said, depth. Second, third, fourth tier running backs are now going to be RB1 in some because based on touches alone.
And that's the crazy thing about fantasy's wild because you have Javonte Williams who goes down. He was
Melvin Gordon.
He was starting to become the workhorse, so now it's going to be a timeshare between Melvin Gordon and
Mike Boone.
And
Latavius Murray came up from the. He was actually stolen from the Saints, who they elevated him and he played and he had 60 yards and a touchdown, and then.
Yeah. And then you've got David Montgomery that's beat up, and so then Khalil Herbert stepped in. He's been a stud when he stepped in. It's it's just it goes to show that the strategy of getting handcuffs to your RB1s especially if you spend a high draft pick on it, it makes sense because of how many injuries happen. It seems like every year now.
Yeah.
And then you've got DeAndre Swift for the Lions and his backup
Jamal Williams.
I believe it is Jamal Williams. Yes. Yeah. He's stepped in admirably. Just again, he steps right in, puts up RB1 numbers. So if you had those handcuffed, good for you. And if you didn't have a handcuff, but you picked up, you just picked them up on the waivers, even though another team had that running back that was out, and you picked up the handcuff they should have gotten. It's a good way to instantly get you RB1 points.
I mean, there were a number of teams whose defenses let up a lot of points. I mean, look at 41-31 game last night, Monday night anyway.
I know that the Lions are dealing with injuries on offense, and I'm not sure about if there was injuries on defense, but I'm shocked that they gave up 48 to the Falcons at home.
48-45. That's crazy.
I did not see that happening. I mean, Dan Campbell, I bet he probably lost his voice yelling after that one. Yeah, it was another wild week in fantasy. I went 1-2 in my respective leagues.
I went 1-0. I cut myself off at 2 teams per season, and I didn't do the second one. I had some offers, but I want to keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't like rooting for players in one league that you're playing against in another. Or
it sucks.
I don't like being a homer. I have 0 Bills players on my team. As much as I'd want their defense right now, and Josh Allen, he went 4th overall in our league. There was no way I was getting him. But you'll get some guys value. Like, we've got a guy in our league, Chris, who hoards running backs. So he's literally got 7 running backs who are RB1 or 2. and he can't even start them all. He has to start 4, but he's like, I like having depth. So he's got 3 on his bench, along with a bunch of wide receivers. He went run heavy. He got CMC early, and then who was his other one? Might have been Swift. So Swift was banged up. Then he had Dameon Pierce. He's got all these other guys. I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
Dameon
trade
Pierce.
me one. And he
Dameon
won't.
Pierce is another one, another rookie that's got a lot of potential, that's stepped up and is now finally getting opportunities.
Yep.
And Breece Hall, he was a running back we've alluded to maybe in prior weeks, talking about how he was on the Bills' radar for
Yep.
a lot of people had him going to the Bills.
Only because Michael Carter was drafted the year before. They're thinking, okay, he's going to be their number 1.
And the Bills were kind of like looking for that power horse back, and he's fits that mold. And the same thing, it took him 3-4 weeks to get rolling, and now he seems to be a potential week in and week out producer at the RB1 or 2, probably RB2 position.
Yeah, but it seems like running backs are more patient at waiting for their opportunity than teams, because when they draft second, third rounders, they want them to produce right away. Just like James Cook, right? He gets a fumble. Last game, he had only 2 plays on offense. One was a target to him, and he drops it.
Yeah.
Clear first down right up the middle.
Yeah, and then there's like trying to there's always the preseason hype about different rookies, and like Kenneth Walker for the Seahawks, he hasn't really done anything yet.
Yeah,
I know the
that's
Seahawks
true.
in general are it's kind of a tough team to figure out offensively.
I traded for him, and then I dropped him.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm just like, I don't have patience. I need other people right now on my bench.
And another running back that probably isn't getting mentioned a lot, but he was getting mentioned a lot pre-fantasy draft. Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah,
for the
that's true.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Man, I
kind of wanted us to get him.
I had so much hype on him, and turns out he hasn't even gotten a chance to see the field yet. Like he's locked down in that depth chart.
Look who's starting over him.
Understandably so. You've got Eckler, and then you've got Kelly, right? And so hasn't even, I think, suited up yet. But man, he's got a lot of potential down the line to eventually do something. At least be the backup.
Let's shift to wide receivers. There's Olave, there's Drake London.
Oh, yeah.
There's Jahan Dotson. There's all these young guys. I mean, this is a wide receiver class that is very strong and shown up early. If you can get someone like that early in your draft, or even off waivers early, like first 4 or 5 weeks, great. But by now, most of those young rookies are taken because they're playing.
Especially in 12 and 14 person.
Yeah, and you picked up George Pickens and then dropped him?
In your league.
Yeah,
I picked that
I
up,
almost
dropped
grabbed him, but he's getting targets.
Yeah, I've dropped him in both my leagues, and it was just and that's not having.
Sometimes
patience.
it's patience. You really need the long game, but
because Kenny Pickett could come in and immediately turn him into a relevant wide receiver 1 or 2. You just never know.
They still have Johnson, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, or it could take a while.
Najee Harris, their running back. We'll talk about him when we get into the Bills matchup with them. But
based on his ADP, he has not produced to where he's been.
No, where he was drafted for sure, definitely not. And now they go against a defense, the Bills, who actually have gotten much better at run defense. We've got Von Miller, we've got Daquan Jones, and we've got a healthy front and a good rotation. I say healthy, but we'll get into hopefully at Oliver playing. But what else do you have for fantasy talk?
I think that wraps up everything for where I was right and where I was wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the upcoming episode where we preview the matchup at home against the Steelers, I will mention a few other sneaky, potential waiver wire pickups or streamers.
Okay, well,
do have 2 Josh Allen cards.
Oh, that's right.
So every week we got different Josh Allen cards. On my side here, we have an awesome Josh Allen. It's a short print insert card. It's the Retro 1988.
Which is the year you were born?
Yeah, year I was born, so it's pretty cool. Like, this is a card I'll probably never sell, just because of it's nostalgic and the fact that
it's literally front and back the same layout from the 88 cards that were made by Don Ross, I believe.
Yeah, it's got the Don Russ 88 in the corner, rated rookie, Josh Allen, super cool. It's very basic but old school.
Yeah.
Awesome card.
Yeah, you're talking 30-year anniversary.
Yep.
And then over here, we have Josh Allen NFL Draft Luminance Rookie Auto. You see that?
Beautiful.
Look at that sucker. The back's pretty basic. It's in his Wyoming uniform, but
clean signature.
That is a 10 clean signature for sure. Not for sale unless you want to give me your firstborn child. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of The House That Allen Built. I am Scott Kinmartin, and with me as always,
Greg Vollmer and Bills Mafia. Thank you as always for supporting and listening. We'll see you again here soon.
see you next time. Bills versus Steelers.
Let's go.
Buffalo!
Buffalo. Yes, sir.
Here's Josh Allen in the weight room.
Dude, that was hilarious. That photo was hilarious. The unedited photo was hilarious too.
I
Just
know,
like him
I
normal.
know.
But then the one where it looks like he's jacked out of his mind on steroids.
Check! Radio!
Man, that Joe Montana really knows how to tackle. Joe Montana was a quarterback, you dumbass. And the Mud Dogs lose.
You saved some
game.
of your NA or no? We should have gotten more. Okay. Hi. I like when you're rubbing legs with me.
All right.
Hi. We won.
Yes, we did. Victory week. It's victory week in Western New York. Everyone's partying.
Do you need a pen? Want to join the Pen 15 Club?
Pen 15?
You ever heard that?
No.
It's where you write pen 15 and it looks like penis.
Oh.
I got kicked off the bus for that one. Some parents did not like their kids coming home with penis on their forearm. Okay. Brown cow. Wow, no, not brown cow.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
It's go time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the house that Allen built. This is our Buffalo Bills at Baltimore Ravens recap. I'm Scott Kinmartin, and with me, as always,
Greg Vollmer.
and today we're going to talk about that game and the outcome. But first, let's get into some. Okay.
So after I introduced myself, I f***ed up.
You didn't keep going. That's why I
feel
tried
Bills
to-
Mafia. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Redo it. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the house. That's pretty much it for this section. Do you want to talk about fantasy football?
Yeah, we'll do a quick fantasy corner to wrap things up on this episode. So every week I'll do a where I was. Let's just go outside.
Shut up!
Hey, let's just go outside and. Here, let's stop. Yeah, let's stop the camera. Stop here.
Ew! It's recording, dude. Okay.
God.
Cheers. I have a serious question for you. Have you ever seen Josh Allen in shorts?
Yes.
Those quads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So I'm
Hold
gonna.
on! Okay. Thanks again, everyone. This has been the house that Allen built. I'm Scott Kinmartin. With me, as always,
Greg Vollmer. And let's go.
Buffalo!
All right.
That was not
That was
really any
fine.
better.
Whatever. It's all good.
Just f***ing it.
It. We'll do it live.